What's up, everybody? Welcome to Bingetown TV's Dark and Twisted podcast. My name is Kathleen. I am joined today by my co-hosts Brian and Jimmy, and we are here to talk Yellowjackets Season 3, Episode 3, titled Them's the Breaks. And what a good episode. A great episode. A good third episode after two good ones last week. I'm just so happy to be back with my girls, back with my boys talking about it. We got, funnily enough, a huge Mari app right after me declaring that I'm a Mari girl. Last episode, no, they did a great job putting me to shame for saying I was Team Mari last week. So let me just put it into the world that I am not Team Mari. I can't believe I said that. Team Shauna all the way. But especially after she's like fake acting like she wants to sleep with Coach Ben to get on his good side and saying he's a pervert and has raging gonorrhea. I think we can all say that we're not Team Mari. But all in all, great episode, and ended on just the kind of like beautiful, gorgeous, twisted, trippy Yellowjackets hallucinations, spookiness I love. So I can't wait to get into that. But I want to hear your thoughts. I'm going to pass it to Jimmy. What's up?
What's up? Okay, cool. So I really enjoyed this episode. This is a perfect split into the buckets of 96 and present day. I think 96 has a little bit more meat to the bones, but present day definitely has a lot of good things to talk about. There's a few things on my notes that I really want to talk about. But yeah, it feels good. I think, Brian, when you were talking last week about how, season 2 was a little bit of a downward trajectory for you, not necessarily a bad season or anything, just not in the right direction. While you still enjoy it, it's not as good as season 1. I agree with you there, and I think a lot of the fans did agree with that as well. Don't want to put any words in their mouths, but I feel like I'm back, baby. I feel like season 1. I'm really excited with everything that's going on. We'll get to it as we go through these buckets. But Ryan, what do you do? Go.
Yeah, I loved this episode. I was saying in our last recording that I thought episodes 1 and 2 were a really strong start to the season. This one probably topped those two episodes. So I am just really happy. Like you were saying, I just feel like season 3, we're back. We got the good vibes that were season 1. But story-wise, the pacing seems like they're giving us a lot. Like things are happening quickly, not too fast, but I'm just surprised. Maybe because season 2 was a little bit more of a slow ramp up. Things are happening nonstop this season, and I love it. I really like where Ty and Van's adult storyline is going. Crazy episode for them. Kathleen, I am still just like shattered to my core that you planted the flag for Team Mari. That was ridiculous. On our first recording of the season, that was like, whoa, girl, pump the brakes. But I will never let you forget it. So that's going to lend to some good content. Big episode for Coach. Yeah, it was just a really good episode. I just like the dialogue in the present day timeline. It just feels good. So I love this show. I love that it's back on track. Not that season 2 was bad, of course, but this is just right back up there with how I was feeling for season 1. So I'm elated right now. I really am.
Yeah.
I like to keep you guys on your toes, okay? I might still be Team Mari at this point. Who knows? We're going to do business as usual, chronological. In 96, we'll have its whole bucket, and then we'll go into present day. And let's talk Mari and Coach Ben up until the pepper spray and he lets her go. I want to know your guys' thoughts, whether you thought Ben Scott would ever do anything bad to Mari, because they do that really intense scene when he's like walking up to her with the knife. I want to hear your thoughts on this scene and these like collection of scenes in general.
I thought that the scene was unrealistically dramatic. Like, I guess they just choreographed it that way so that you could have the, is he going to do it? Is he not going to do it moment? I think the character of Coach Scott in reality probably would have walked out and been like, listen, Mari, I'm letting you go. Wouldn't have just stood there with a knife for 10 seconds. So I thought that was a little bit weird, but Coach Scott is a good guy, and from everything we've seen this season, he still has his wits about him, so no way would he ever want to harm one of these girls, but it is a very precarious situation because he also knows what the likely repercussions of him letting Mari go will be, and that would come back to bite him in the butt. So I was expecting this to be the conclusion. I kind of thought maybe another episode or two of him having Mari as the captor. But when Mari asked the question, you asked me what my plan would have been, like, coach, what's your plan for me? And he was like, dang, you're kind of right. Like, I can't just sit here forever with you tied up. So I think this was where we were heading.
Yeah, I agree. Coach Scott would never have even thought twice. The only thing that I will say is this has happened in TV before. Think maybe Walter White and Crazy 8 and Breaking Bad, right? He has somebody down in the basement tied up and he's just sitting there and stalling because there's still some humanity to him and he doesn't want to go through with it. Same kind of thing with Coach Scott. Brian, you were already getting to it, but he knows that he's going to let Mari go. But he also knows that when he lets Mari go, shit's most likely hitting the fan for him. Mari herself, Kathleen,
don't address me like that.
Kathleen has been given a lot more airtime this season, and the more airtime we get, the more we find out that she's not the best person. I was laughing like crazy. The "I'm too sexy" stuff in the cave. Mm-hmm. I'm too sexy for this rope, and,
right?
But as you get more dialogue from her, you realize she's not great. And Coach Scott would hope that she would be nice and say, oh, he actually saved my life and I'm going to keep his secret. But we saw exactly what happened. And he probably would assume that is what's going to happen, especially if he thinks what he thinks about all of the girls right now. What he said when he was looking over Mari in the pit about how they're just wild, right? So the stalling was definitely a little bit extra for screen time, but I get it because he's even crying a little bit because it's not really about am I going to let her go or am I not going to let her go? It's when I let her go, I'm going to be on the run again or I'm going to be in danger.
Let me put my devil's advocate hat on. Mari is just a bad actress. She wanted to keep Ben Scott's secret, I think. I genuinely think she got back, and with Shauna screaming in her face, I think she just and her knee screwed up trying to get back to civilization. I don't think she got her story straight, and when she started blurting out lies, Shauna's like, go backwards.
Well, then why did she just kick his crutch out and let him smack his face? And I mean,
she still wanted to get out. She wanted to get out.
He was letting her go.
That was so uncool. The kick of the crutch was so unnecessary.
What did she say? She's like, I walked back to civilization so I could fuck your dad. That was a hilarious line.
Yeah.
Team Mari, okay?
What I will say is that when she's not being like a bully, she is kind of just this almost lovable airhead.
Yeah, totally.
I don't know. Like, she can kind of be like, that's just Mari being Mari. I'm still Team Shauna. Don't get wise on me, Kathleen, here. But I think what killed her, and this is consistent with the character, is that she did not have an answer locked and loaded for, you dislocated your knee. Right. How did you get out of the pit? And once she said that, she realized they're going to tell if I lie and make up a BS story. So I think she was kind of cornered into telling the truth about Coach. I actually do believe that she didn't want to reveal that, but just didn't think it through a lot.
Yeah, and I don't like when you kick the crutch out. Not nice, Mari, but I guess I agree with you. I don't think that she was going to purposely just immediately say, Coach Ben helped me, but it had to be done on her side because there's no other explanation. And my point of view was more so along the lines where if I was Coach Ben, I would just assume she's going to rat me out.
100%.
The only other thing from the cave scenes, Mari kind of reveals her. I took it as her take on their situation here, where she's like, I think two realities exist, and the more evil or sinister one is just hiding and lurking. I'm not sure if there was anything there, but I always do kind of appreciate when the girls or Coach Scott even gave their take on the situation a little bit and how they're just trying to wrap their brain around it.
Yeah, in general, I think this was a great couple of scenes. It's funny because we don't get any of the other girls until, meaning 1996 girls, until like past the midway mark of this episode. And for a beat, I was like, wow, we didn't get any of the 1996 storyline yet, like halfway through. And I'm like, wait, no, we got so much Mari and Ben Scott. Yeah. Not to say it was forgettable, but it almost felt like a bottle episode of those two for a while. And I think in general, Ben was giving this like hilarious sass to her. He hates Mari, which I thought was so funny, but he is such a good dude. And when he had his little breakdown saying, I'm just a normal guy, how is any of this real? And all this stuff. And then they both start to hear the craziness going in within the cave. Mari tells this really devastating story about her 4-year-old cousin. Always good to give you a little insight or backstory about the girls, make you feel for someone like Mari and why she might be acting the way she does and act up, etc. I just thought it was such a good highlighting of these two characters that we don't necessarily get that much of, especially Mari. At least for Ben, we used to get those like Paul flashbacks. But in general, I liked it. I love Coach Ben, but of course now by the end of this, we'll know that he's not gonna make it very far unless something crazy happens.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know.
We don't know. I hope they're not so bloodthirsty that it's right to the stake with Coach. I think he at least deserves what is your side of the story? And Nat hopefully will give him that.
Yeah, I think Nat will give that to him. And when it comes to Coach Ben and Mari in the cave, we'll get back to the Nat thing definitely, because I definitely want to talk about that. But Coach Ben and Mari, when Coach Ben is having his little breakdown, and then eventually it leads to him saying, "Are you hearing that? Are you hearing that?" And it's more the screeching and growling. It says on the closed captioning, muffled screaming and growling. So he yells to Mari, "Are you hearing that?" And I'm specifically watching the actress and Mari on screen while this is happening to see if she's reacting to actual noises he's hearing or if she's reacting to him freaking out, right?
Oh,
what did you guys think? How did you take it as you were watching?
I was thinking the same thing, that there were two avenues to go with. I did take it as Mari was hearing it as well, but
me too.
It could have went either way because she just kind of slowly nodded at him, I believe.
When he's saying, "Are you hearing that? Are you hearing that?" she's kind of looking out to the right in the direction that he's looking. So I took it similar to you, Brian. But it's interesting because there's so many things in this TV show, and they really leaned into it by the end of this episode, that there can always be a devil's advocate if anyone wants to argue about the supernatural side of it.
Totally. Okay, shall we move into, before they go on the hunt for Coach Scott, Mari gets back, but there is one little Melissa and Shauna scene. How did you guys react to Shauna just kind of being so standoffish and then being like, "You can stay"?
It was funny to me because she says, "Stalk much?" And Brian jokingly was saying last episode, she's got those stalker vibes, and she obviously did. And if she's going to be the person, quote unquote, stalking Shauna in the present day, it works out. But I was cracking up that it came out of her mouth, "Stalk much." But yeah, I mean, when we talked about this last episode, when it came to all these actresses and actors and their 96 versus their present day characters and how a lot of them are similar, and Shauna to me seems a little bit different, and I said that's by design, we definitely started seeing more of the old Shauna in this episode. And this fits for how I believe Shauna would react, right? She doesn't want to admit that she likes having Melissa there with her. She doesn't want to admit that she wants that companionship. So she's going to be a little bit of a biatch, but she's going to say, "But, you know, you can come over and sit if you want." And you're not going to be boring, right? Are you?
Yeah.
A cheeky comment followed by "you can stay if you want" is about as good an expression of affection as you're going to get from Shauna at this point in time. So I, for one, liked it. And Shauna is going through it right now. She's in a dark place. I think this could be an avenue to kind of lighten up the character a little bit, which I think she needs. So I like the ship a little bit, and I like that she's finding a friend in Melissa. It's good.
Yeah, I can't believe that I didn't talk about this last episode. People I've seen think that maybe this Melissa and Shauna thing is really random. Some people think, it's circumstance, they need companionship. I can't believe I didn't say that I was kind of a Jackie Shauna shipper in the beginning, and that the relationship was a little deeper than just friendship, at least maybe on, I don't know, could have gone both ways. There are a lot of Jackie and Shauna shippers, and I think that this relationship kind of helps that case. And even if that wasn't fully formed, a lot of people think that there could have been something. And I just think it's not as out of the blue as some people might think it is. So I'm fully on board. We didn't get much of it this episode. It totally diverts into this Coach Scott hunt. But before we get there, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the Wyatt Earp reference. I'm even using my Winona Earp mug that Jimmy bought me to get in the mood. Love me some Earp talk. And let's get into the hunt. Go ahead.
I have something I want to ask you guys.
Are
we getting a little strategic camera angles here? Did you get any kind of idea that Melissa and Shauna were being watched towards the end of that scene? It panned out during they're sitting on the trunk, the tree trunk. And then not only was it just a pan out, it kind of like started to like move behind a tree / bush to look like it was coming from somebody's POV. Is somebody watching them?
I didn't note that, but it wouldn't be the first time the show used that kind of camera angle.
Totally.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
I viscerally remember saying that in the season 1 episodes, there was like a shot of maybe like a rotting bear or something. And the shot immediately after seemed like they were being watched. I can remember us, Brian, talking about that in the season 1 episodes. So there's definitely been precedent.
Right. The wilderness.
And it could literally be, is someone watching them, or are they just trying to set an uneasy atmosphere as if us, the audience, is kind of just like sneakily watching them. Either way, I like it.
Us, the audience, stalk much? Jeez, right? Just watching this and Shauna trying to hang out.
Love it.
So let's get into the hunt, Kathleen.
Okay, yeah. One tiny little detail also is that Lottie goes up to Akilah almost saying like, yo, you think about what we talked about? And Akilah doesn't want anything to do with it. But then obviously as we move through this bucket, she can't help but be involved. So I do want to say, we talked about, did Travis make that up so Lottie would get off his case? First of all, Travis was not even in this episode.
I was going to say, my note says, where's Travis?
No Travis. Maybe Travis was watching them.
Could be. Could be. But anyway, I do think Travis was telling the truth about the Akilah thing after this. Do you think?
I don't think that proves anything yet.
Wow, you're so stubborn, dude.
Brian, what do you think?
I'm still on team he made it up because he was like, Lottie, I got enough on my plate. I can't handle your crazy.
It's whatever your viewpoint is. If you're watching it from your viewpoint, Kathleen, you could just take it the way you just explained it to us. If you're watching from me and Brian's viewpoint, you could take it as Lottie was just told a lie by Travis, and she's trying to push that lie onto Akilah without realizing it's actually a lie, and Akilah's not down for it.
Yeah, but after this whole Akilah bucket of hallucinating and all this stuff, you think it's just circumstance that she went in the fork of the road that had the poison gas or whatever Ben was talking about? That's a lot of coincidences.
Well, poisonous gas isn't supernatural, Kathleen.
So true. So true.
But we'll get
let's get into the bucket. Yeah. I mean, as they're on the hunt, they get to the cave pretty quickly, but there is that moment where Mari's like, I think this is the way, and Shauna steps up. And I think it's because Shauna's just seeing red in her eyes and will manipulate anybody to get to her end goal of catching Coach. But she's like, it's okay, Mari, you're doing a great job. Maybe this slaps a band-aid on the relationship. That can't escalate much more, or else Mari's going to be in trouble. I was going to say one of them's in trouble, but it would be Mari.
Mari's knee looked damn bad.
Oh yeah.
That thing looks like crap. So hopefully for our girl Mari, Kathleen's girl. Yeah. She's okay and doesn't have any issues with that knee. But yeah, I was going to say that in the beginning of the episode, Brian. Shauna might be Team Mari now all of a sudden, just like Kathleen.
I would be okay with it. These girls have enough to deal with without fighting amongst each other that outwardly. And I think that was just bad for the whole community. So I would be about it if they can just live respectfully, coexist with each other.
Right. And I think the deal is that if you are on a team with Mari, and it seems as if Mari is Mari and always has been Mari. The wilderness didn't change Mari into who she is when we're hearing these stories about her, right? Or she's telling these stories, and Coach Ben is telling us some of these stories about what she's done to him. So if you're on this Yellowjackets soccer team with Mari, there's always those kind of friends or people you associate with that you're just like, that's them. That's who I'm dealing with right now. And the two of them, Shauna probably realizes, well, Mari is being Mari, and I'm kind of being me, right? So I'm not saying they're good, and I'm still way Team Shauna in the situation because Mari is poking the wrong bear. But I think that this could be them being okay.
Let me rewrite the narrative.
Okay.
It's no longer Team Shauna versus Team Mari. It's do you like Mari or do you not like Mari? And I like Mari. And I'm not scared to say it, okay?
You like her as a character to watch, or you like her as if you would hang out with her?
Character to watch.
I do not like that she's a bully. This episode, she does show a little bit more layers. And let's be honest, the first 2 seasons, I think I mentioned the last recording, she's been a tertiary character, so she hasn't been really fleshed out. We're seeing a little bit more of her this season. Maybe that lends to her being a more endearing character.
Yeah, she's an absolute brat, but I'm just giving her the benefit of the doubt.
There's only ever been one team, and that team is the Yellowjackets.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Damn, I like that.
I gotta say, like, as they get into the cave and they split up in the groups before when they're deciding where to go, I loved that line. It made me laugh when Misty says, it's a double bluff, like that scene in that movie with the 2 guys. And then Melissa says, the Princess Bride, and then unnamed girl that I don't know said, how the fuck did you know that? It was so funny. I love that kind of dialogue. I thought they were crushing it with the dialogue this episode, and I rewound it to watch it again because I thought that was so funny.
That's funny. I like
that.
They
need those dialogue to remind us they're still high school girls. At the end of the day, like, I agree. I love that. Also, Princess Bride, great movie.
I think Capture the Bone or whatever helped us with that too. I think this season is just doing very, very well with how they're writing it. And Kathleen, we're getting into this hunt. We know that Mari reluctantly tells the crew about Coach Ben. We have a few actors in our midst. We have Nat being like, what the hell? We have even Misty acting a certain way. Her way wasn't necessarily like acting like she knew she was alive, but to me, it seemed like she was putting on like the I hate Coach Ben face, even though she doesn't kind of thing.
Interesting, because I saw it as Misty still kind of loves Coach Ben because she was like, we don't know anything yet. Like we don't know what his intentions were. I think Nat is the most level-headed about it because she knows in her heart that Coach Ben didn't do it. And Misty just has a rational love for the man. So I think she was just like, let's not jump to conclusions here type deal. And let's not kill him immediately almost, right?
Yeah. And again, this is where I noticed right away when they start to say, let's go for this hunt. Travis is nowhere to be found. Are we just going to say he is recovering from his little breakdown? He wants to be by himself right now after attacking Lottie. But you would think that if you're going to go on a hunt for Coach Ben, you would bring Travis, who is the hunter with Nat.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll hopefully find out where he is.
Brian, do you want to walk us through this kind of wacky hallucination scenes between Van, Shauna, and Aquila go one way and they get the kind of shit end of the stick before the rest of the group follows them up?
Yeah, it was a very interesting hallucination that they go through, and right when they split up, I'm like, okay, what wacky shit are these girls gonna get up to? And it's Aquila, Van, and Shauna, of course. They find the running water, the candle goes out, and I loved how they framed the scene where Van's just like, I still got my candle, you guys with me? Look to your right, Shauna's gone, Aquila's gone. And Van is the perfect one to kind of take us into it because she's got not deadpan, but that sarcastic mindset where she's like, what the hell? Looking at the door, she's like, just more nonsense going on, of course, because why not? But so Van's goes through the door, and that leads her back to the cabin, I guess, in front of the fireplace. And she's just kind of hanging out there. And my instant thought was this girl's in danger, because usually when you have a hallucination where it's cozy and things are all good and warm and fuzzy, like Jackie, that means that in reality, you are in trouble. But that's how it goes. And I think she gets clawed away by like zombie arms.
Yeah.
Aquila has this great vision with the pen of goats and then the talking llama or whatever, which says everything with teeth bites, because she's like, goats don't bite. I have nothing to worry about. And then it says, they're calling you. Like, aren't you listening? They're calling you, which I guess Kathleen does indeed lend to Lottie's thing. My whole thing with Aquila, like everything in this show, is it real, or is it kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy? Right when Lottie started digging in the claws, is her mind just on, oh, am I really special? Am I really a part of this? So that's what I'm thinking about Aquila. And then Shauna is just taking a nice little dip, floating in the lake. That one seemed peaceful. And I guess she was waving to a child that was
her
saying,
son. That's her kid.
There you go. That's her kid.
So it was peaceful until it wasn't, and then it was the worst of all of them.
Just like swimming and swimming, and she can't get anywhere. I'm like, no.
He's got blonde hair.
They all respectively get taken out of their individual visions and then are funneled in to this subsequent vision where they're all in a classroom being taught by Lottie. Yes. And who is there but our girl, Ella Burnell, making the cameo, the one that we all needed. Our girl Jackie is back, and she is hitting, I don't know what you would have called them, just the snap-on bracelet. It's all very 90s and just the best thing ever. I was gobsmacked watching this whole scene, and then Jackie being there, the cherry on top, I was like, this is just perfection. I am enjoying just watching this for the first time through. It was fantastic.
Well, it's interesting because Lottie says there's only one dream, because they're looking at each other like, oh, are you in my dream or am I in yours? Yeah. And then the guy with no eyes, which comes into play later in the adult version, walks by. So obviously we know that's kind of a tie thing. And yet there's only 3 of them in this dream. So it really all does seem like one big fully ado shared delusion, which is crazy, or not delusion. Maybe it's real and one big dream. It's cuckoo.
There's some very telling things that happened in these dream sequences. And the first thing, as they're crawling through the tunnel, I'm glad that they gave us the answer before this episode ended, meaning Coach Scott shows up with his face covered and says it's poisonous gas. And we'll get into that in a second. But as they're crawling through the tunnel, I noticed right away Aquila did seem like she was having some issues with breathing, and I thought poisonous gas right away. The Mad Hatter syndrome was a huge theory for the Yellowjackets ever since season 1, where there's more mercury poisoning causing the girls all to have Kathleen, the shared delusions, and they're all hallucinating. Now, is that the same thing? Well, we can get into that in a second, but we start getting into these visions. And Brian, the first thing I noticed when we're in Van's vision was the fire in her eyes.
I got to give the props to Brian. I shut you down so bad last episode.
The fire in her eyes.
I think there's still some debate, but I think it was a good guess.
Kathleen, I took a glance at the YouTube comments, and I think a couple of them, I would imagine you came prepared, were about Van and maybe her relation to the cabin fire, if you have it.
Yeah, I do. So I was going to say them for the adult, but it really doesn't matter. So there's 2 fire theories from our YouTube comments from episode 1 and 2. If you haven't listened to that or seen that, you can go on YouTube or Spotify. We covered episodes 1 and 2 in one episode. So
are we talking fire as an adjective or fire as a noun, Kathleen, when we're talking about these theories?
I'm not very good with English.
I'm saying, are you saying they're fire? Are you saying they're fire, or are they about fire?
Literally and figuratively. Okay, not sure if I'm saying this right, but Lulu Tuel says Ty burned down the cabin and Van knows, but Ty doesn't, and that's why Van is acting sus and saying Ty shouldn't be the leader, which is a good point, because in last episode, Van's kind of looking at Ty like, girl, maybe you're not the best bet. Like, you've got some issues. And then also there's a lot of fire imagery with Ty Jolt timeline from last episode, and we can get into some things later. But then you see this whole thing with Van, and who knows, maybe they're just saying she knows more than it's letting on, or is it, did Van do it? I don't know. But either way, I still think your Van guess was a good guess, and because I thought it came out of nowhere, but I thought it was a pretty good guess now, you know?
Yeah.
I felt very validated. Yeah. But when I saw the YouTube comment, I think that is now my leading theory, is that Ty's evil alter ego was the one that burned down the fire. And that would be consistent with everything we've seen out of Van. She would never let her girl Ty take the fall. She would cover for her, of course, would say, maybe you're not the best leader. And I'm interested to see where Van goes now that Van Gogh, very famous painter. I'm interested to see where she goes now, because it was probably easy enough to say Coach is the scapegoat, Coach is evil, he burned down the cabin, when she didn't know that he was alive. Now that he's alive and well, will she be able to keep up that lie for Ty and really see this guy go down to protect Taissa?
Yeah.
The other side of it is, and this is all just me running with a theory, so I apologize for the people that don't love me just assuming a theory is fact, but I guess this would kind of just blow up Taissa's spot, because it hasn't been revealed to everybody that she has this alter ego nonsense going on. And it could be a good thing or a bad thing to have more eyes on it. Maybe they could protect her from herself, etc., etc. So this is setting up a really intriguing storyline for me, but I completely agree. The fire imagery between Van, Taissa, it's hard to ignore at this point.
Definitely.
100%. After seeing the comments, after thinking about your theory, Brian, I'm fully in on one or the other, and I do like Van vouching for Taissa here, and what you were alluding to, where there's going to be, most likely, if this theory is correct, scenes where she's going to have to make some decisions. And if she has to protect Ty, you know, if it's revealed that Ty did it, not only is it, guys, listen, Ty did it, but it's evil Ty. She has this alter ego. There you go.
Yeah.
We didn't tell you about it. She probably shit in the bucket, but it's not the Ty that we know and love. It's evil Ty. You have to believe us.
I forget which of the girls saw her shoveling dirt.
Lottie, right?
Yeah, because Lottie's like,
okay,
did I see you eating dirt last night? And Ty's like, I don't have time for this shit right now.
No, couldn't have been.
That's like
so
before
right.
Ty knew that she was eating dirt, which is
and
hilarious.
again, we talked about this last podcast episode when it comes to, here's Nat, but here's Lottie. Nat's the antler queen, quote unquote. Nat's the leader, but Lottie's the religious leader. So if Lottie takes a side that an evil Ty could exist, then that may help everyone believe. Okay, so now we get to Aquila. Kathleen, her dream sequence or hallucination, talking to this llama or whatever. There's sheep, there's goats. I'm thinking Severance. It's killing me. And we hear the llama say they're calling for you, right? And could there be the double meaning, right? Is it the girls calling for each other in the real world, or is it the trees and the screaming, calling? I still don't take that as any kind of confirmation, and I do believe that the self-fulfilling prophecy thing is a logical thing to think at this point in the TV show right now, where she's hearing the screams. They're all hearing the screams, apparently. So does that make Aquila specifically special? I don't know.
So I have a little piece of evidence that might support that, James. So at the very end of this, like Lottie being the teacher professor thing, on the back of the chalkboard, it says, of all the ways to lose a person, death is the kindest. And that's not really part of the theory, but I just wanted to say that. So Jackie brings out this like wrist slapper that we all used to have in the 90s. Loved that as a kid. I have like a weird memory of maybe that being involved in season 1 somehow, and like a flashback of when they weren't there. I'm not sure. Or maybe they discussed it. I don't know. Let us know in the Discord if you remember it. But so the wrist slapper hurts Van's wrist. It cuts her wrist.
Right.
Then it goes around Shauna's neck, or lastly, it goes around Shauna's neck. But Aquila just puts it right on her wrist. It's fine. and then she gives it to Shauna. Akila's the only one that actually wasn't hurt by it. Is this wrist slapper like the wilderness? Is it either protecting Akila, or is it like Akila is irrelevant and people like Shauna and people like Van are like intrinsically like wrapped into this wilderness, this the realm, etc., whatever you want to call it. I'm just bullshitting, but there's got to be a reason why it didn't hurt Akila. So another thing is, we're officially watching these on screeners. So when we're recording these, we just
Instant
watched it. We're
reaction.
recording. We don't have it's an instant reaction. We don't have any sort of vibes from like the community. We can't Reddit, we can't Discord. So please, this bucket is so cool and fun. YouTube comments, Discord comments, email us at bingetowntv@gmail.com. We would love to hear your theories because we're not able to see your theories before we do this. But what do you guys think about just that scene and that wrist slapper like not hurting Akila?
Well, the first thing I'll say is, guys, like Kathleen was saying, bingetowntv.com/Discord. The link will also be in the show notes. Jump in, talk to us about Yellowjackets. We love it. But yeah, it's tough. I'm not leaning on any side, but you would think that if the wrist snapper thing didn't hurt Akila, my thoughts would be that it would mean the wilderness is protecting her symbolically.
So it's me.
So it's Team Mari apparently over here. And no, so that could mean something, yes, but also we know that right now Akila is not the biggest believer in the wilderness, and Van is, and Van got hurt, and Shauna is whatever. She hates the wilderness right now, and maybe that's why it was killing her. But I don't know. It's going to have some kind of symbolism, definitely. Yeah. It's just we don't have the hindsight yet.
Yeah, I'm with you. I didn't really have a read on it, but if it does represent the wilderness's feelings, and the wilderness definitely does not like Shauna Shipman.
Yeah, and we know that wilderness has some feelings, dude.
Yeah. Shauna Shipman, man. When Misty called her Shauna Shipman later in the episode, I'm like, girl, you're not helping your case. Why are you calling her Shauna Shipman? Okay, so then after all this, Coach Scott comes up with Van. Van's not in a good spot. But then the rest of the girls get Coach Scott and they say, don't move, like, sorry, coach. And I just want to say, I think Nat is a great leader. I think she was so composed this episode. She's doing her best. There's a mob mentality going on. I think she knows that the best thing she can do is stick with the mob, but try her best later to kind of, like, it wouldn't be in her best case to be like, we can't do this. What are we doing? Why are you doing this? I think.
Right. That'll rile them up even more.
Exactly. And even Nat is probably at least curious about Coach Scott. So I think it's going to be the trial of Benjamin Scott next episode.
Brian, you talked about this in our last podcast episode. Nat's in trouble, right? Nat is definitely in trouble here because she is, like Kathleen said, being a very good leader. She's trying to lead, but also keep these girls under control. And she is putting the gun up to Coach Scott saying, sorry, you have to come with us. Yeah. And she is going to do her best to protect him throughout this whole process, whatever the process is. But if at any moment Coach Scott feels the need to blurt anything out, then he can reveal that he told Nat that he found a hiding spot. He could reveal that they've been speaking, not necessarily in this time jump, but before he burned the place down, allegedly. So Nat is in trouble with the whole crew if he starts blurting things out.
All I can say is I am very interested for the trial or whatever is going to happen because they have to evaluate Coach Scott somehow. I hope it's not just pitchforks to him and he's dead next episode, but I highly doubt that's going to be the conclusion.
It's just another one of those things, man. Mari totally sandbagged Coach Scott with the crutch, smacked his face. He was basically knocked out. He still decides when he thinks that these are all crazy girl cannibals that he's going to protect Van and try to save her life. Mm-hmm. And what does he get for it? Not going to be having a good time. But the last thing I want to talk about before we get to the end of the 96 timeline is the idea of, Kathleen, you talked about it, the man with no eyes, the man with the dark eyes, whatever you want to say. he walks by in the hallway while they're in the classroom. This is the first time that someone hallucinated him that wasn't Taissa, right?
Mhm.
So while the devil's advocate is all over the place here, where you could say poisonous gas and blah, 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 this isn't supernatural, or you can always argue it is versus it isn't. I think it's going to be a blend here. I really
Yeah.
do. I think that this is blended. And ever since season 2, I've been fully on the side of this is going to be supernatural, right?
Mhm.
I think the present day timeline is helping that as well. And this is very telling, this shared vision. Now that the guy with the dark eyes, the black eyes, is being seen by someone besides Ty, you can't really start saying, oh, we're all sharing a delusion of poisonous gas that makes us all see a guy that Ty probably never told anybody about except for Van. Van may be the only one who makes sense to see him if she could picture him. And obviously, the present day, she sees him. But the devil's advocate's going to happen, but I'm on the side of this is both things are still going on at the same time. I'm glad they did give us mostly the answer of the poisonous gas. The Mad Hatter syndrome was huge for the fandom for a long time. I looked it up a little bit just for caves and caverns, and carbon monoxide is usually the number one thing that builds up that could cause these hallucinations, causing you to lose your oxygen intake, and it makes sense, right? So they have these hallucinations, but I was fully like, if they don't give us the answer to the poisonous gas and we see a door in this in this cavern, what's good here? We going full supernatural, like full supernatural, like what's going on? But we're good. I think we're good. Anything else, guys, before we go to the present day? This one isn't as big as the 96 timeline.
Yeah.
Nah, let's hit it.
I just want to say I love you, Jackie. So good to see Ella Purnell.
Yes,
love you,
we
girl.
Jackie.
Okay, let's start with like a kind of a quick bucket with Lottie waking up, feeling fresh. The way she was holding herself in this kitchen was cracking me up. She's like, I don't want any of those pancakes. Like, that's full of lard. Like this, they just use that for sedation. Where like at the place she was before, it was cracking me up. It was so funny. Her schedule is jam packed. She can't do lunch with Shauna. So funny. But then it ends up that her and Callie meet to shop. And I love that they brought back this shoplifting for Lottie. It's one of the first things we learn about Lottie in season 1. It's like episode 2 or 3. And they sit around and they all talked about the bad things they did back before the crash that could have possibly caused the crash, like laughing. And she says that and everyone starts cackling because she has like thousands of dollars of TJ Maxx credit or something like that.
Yeah.
I love that they brought that back, and her and Callie are going to be up to absolutely no good for sure.
Lottie's just would be the worst house guest ever. Like judgmental right off the bat. No, I don't want breakfast with you. Turn your nose up at it after coming out of the loony bin and just demanding to stay with her. Not abducting, but clearly being a horrible influence on Callie, shoplifting. Like, this girl is so bad, but the way that she carries herself with such confidence and an air of, oh, I'm doing the normal thing. I'm doing the right thing. It's just so funny to me. But no, it was the dynamic between her, Shauna, and Callie was fantastic this episode. I was missing Jeff, but you know, it is what it is. Also, we got a mention of the business dealings. So I think we talked last episode. Is that the last we saw of those two guys? Sounds like maybe not.
No, seems like she's trying to make some amends. But yeah, Lottie is going to be a very bad influence on Callie. Kathleen, you asked for it, and it looks like we're going to get it. Callie's going to be a much bigger part of the show going forward. And I'm in for it as well. I'm very interested to see how she is going to be a part of this wilderness supernatural storyline, because Lottie says it just feels right when she puts the necklace on Callie. And before we get into that, as Sean is walking in, as Brian would say, the vibes seem to start immaculately, right?
Yeah, big time.
The make your own kind of music song. I feel like no TV show is allowed to use that though, because of
Lost.
Because of Lost. Even Dexter used it recently. Like a lot of shows are using it, and I feel like it's just Lost owns that song.
Totally. But People are always comparing Lost with Yellowjackets, so I kind of think it's
Yeah.
fun.
It might be an homage
love
too,
that song because they
Yeah,
used
oh
it to
my gosh.
blend 1996 and present day, and I just thought
Yeah.
that was divine. I fucking love that song.
Yeah, so let's talk about this necklace. Everything's going well. And then boom, Shauna sees the necklace on Callie, and we get 96 Shauna.
You know, the craziest thing is if she didn't go too far and put the necklace on, I think Shauna would have started to like buy in and been like, oh, you know what? Lottie's not so
Yep.
bad. Callie seems to be doing better. But that was just so a million miles over the line to give Callie the necklace and then be like, it just feels right. Don't you feel it? Like she doesn't know how to just pump the brakes a little bit. And Shauna was right. I mean, get the hell out of here. Get away from my child. You are just terrible. I can't believe you're back in my life. So that was a ridiculous scene.
It was.
Shauna was absolutely hurling insults in this episode in the present day. She's like, you're as fucked up as ever to Lottie, which is true. And then maybe not as warranted, but to Misty later, she's like, you're warped. Calling someone warped is so insane. She's like, you're insane to
We'll
Misty.
definitely get into that. But let's talk about this necklace. So, as much as we know about it, apparently it seems as if Shauna didn't know that someone still had it after the wilderness. It was Jackie's originally. It has been passed around. It ends up on Pit Girl. We know that. The assumption and the theory is that they put this necklace on their sacrifices.
Yeah.
And Lottie says, it doesn't mean what you think it means. Shauna is looking at that necklace saying, that first of all, this is Jackie's. Second of all, you just tried to kill me not too long ago. You're putting the sacrificial necklace on my daughter? What is going on here?
Yeah, I mean, I think putting that necklace on Callie and expecting Shauna not to flip her lid, it just shows how Delulu Lottie really is. Hasn't changed. She's still Lottie from 96, maybe even hurtling down. Lottie's been through so much since then too. And I just think Lottie's always thinking she's answering to this higher calling. And she said it never meant what you thought it meant. And I think we're going to need more information on that. But, you know, the fact that it was Jackie's to begin with, and then they used it as this like insane symbol moving forward it's crazy. But I'm excited for Callie and Lottie scenes moving forward. I think Callie loved that shoplifting thing. I think it made her feel alive, and she thought Lottie was so cool. So I definitely don't think this will be the last we see of Lottie and Callie hanging out.
Agreed.
I already said my piece. Lottie was insanely over the line to do this. Just absurd stuff out of Lottie. But she is going to need to see Callie again. And now that Shauna's on top of the situation, I'm interested to see how they make that happen and how they're going to be able to meet up with each other.
Totally.
Yeah. And when are they going to listen to that damn tape, man?
I know, right? What the hell?
But yes, Kathleen, Lottie with this wilderness, she never took it specifically as evil. So my take right now is that this doesn't mean what you think it means, is more along the lines of the wilderness will protect Callie, not something evil or bad, right? But we'll see. Do you guys want to do Misty before, and we'll end with Ty and Van?
Yeah, let's do it.
So Misty manipulating like she does hilariously. She manipulates Shauna into getting brunch, cracks me up. I will say that there's definitely, you know, as much as they've been through, which we are going to get some information from when they landed or when they were saved to the present day. We're going to see what happens to the relationships after that. But we're talking about a lot of best friends go through this craziness in the wilderness for a few years, and then they live their lives. And you can tell the big difference between, no matter what they've been through, Shauna sees Lottie in the kitchen and, you know, offers her pancakes, and she's saying, Lot, you want some pancakes? It seems like there's still like a kindness and a comfort to her friend. And a lot of them do that with each other, except for with Misty. They still treat her that way, right? And that probably is just because they were never actually friends before this wilderness situation. and Misty wishes they were. We get the manipulation to hang out, and now we're at the important part where they're in Shauna's van. Limp Bizkit comes on.
Oh my God. Incredible needle drop. Oh my God.
Oh, some Limp Bizkit. And the brakes aren't working. Okay. And this leads to the blow up between the two of them. Now, the brakes. I want to get your guys' takes on it. What do you think? Are you thinking supernatural? Are you thinking Misty? Are you thinking unknown entity?
I feel confident it wasn't Misty.
Agreed.
Is
I
all
agree.
I know about. Whether it's unknown entity or supernatural, who knows? Supernatural would be a little bit too on the nose. So
Right.
I'll put my money on unknown entity.
The problem with Misty is that her argument of why would I do that? I'm in the car. I could have died too. Just doesn't work because she would do that. She doesn't care about her own safety if it means that there could be something of a bonding experience or something good that comes out of it. If she did that and they survive it, now they're bonded even more, right?
Yeah.
So I really don't think that Misty did it, but I don't think that she has a leg to stand on either. So do I think Shauna's blow up was very nice? That's another 96 Shauna coming for you. You know, it's a little brave to say to Misty, something must have happened when you were little, your parents are in your childhood and blah, blah, blah. It's like, maybe, you know, the wilderness and becoming cannibals did something to me too. I know what she's trying to get at. She's trying to say Misty was quote unquote weird before they even had that shared experience, but still, you could tell at the end, Shauna looked in her rear view and felt a little bad about it, but it's a shame.
Yeah, and we've seen Misty screw with Nat's car before, so it's definitely not going to be Misty, but I loved Shauna's speech saying, why do you do anything? Because she said, why would I do that? And she lists off some offenses. She said, why did you take those secret videos of Natalie? Why did you hold people hostage in the bunker? Why do you carry syringes of fatal drugs, etc.? And this is just adult Misty's. Shauna missed about 100 offenses, and you feel bad for Misty, and then you don't feel bad for Misty. I think they did such a good job with Misty's character because she's fucking hilarious. Like, now that Nat's gone, Shauna seems like her new mark this season or this episode. And Misty's like attention to detail, being like, her talking about the berries, they're from Vermont. She verified it. She knows how many lights are on each way you could go and how the duration of each light. And it's classic Misty. And they do such a good job honing in her humor and the attention to detail. And I love it. But I do feel bad. She ends up burning the picture of those four. What does that mean? Is she now just going to go to Walter and apologize and be like, just rocking with Walter and up to no good over there and kind of be against our girls? But either way, if I had to guess, probably I would say Melissa or the person we don't know who it is, Hillary Swank.
Either way, no matter what it is, like, unless it's supernatural would be okay, because what does a supernatural entity wilderness even want? But Misty or Melissa / Hillary Swank, I already explained what could be Misty's endgame, but Hillary Swank / Melissa's endgame, you're trying to do something with Shauna. We don't know what the tape says. We don't know what the phone call would have been, whether it's blackmail, whether it's some kind of connection, whether it is revenge. I don't know. But like, so we really don't know anybody's motivation, but almost killing Shauna seems to not be exactly what they want to do. But all I want to say to Shauna is hit the damn emergency brake a little bit earlier than that.
Yeah,
my goodness.
Agreed.
For me, it's kind of what Kathleen was saying. You want to feel bad for Misty in those instances where you genuinely feel, I don't think Misty cut the brakes, and she just got the full blunt of Shauna's wrath unleashed on her. But someone in the YouTube comments very succinctly said, I don't feel bad for Misty ever.
Right.
She's an awful person. She's the villain of the story. And you kind of have to remind yourself, even in these instances where you want to sympathize with her, you got to remember all of it together, the whole package of Misty probably you have to evaluate as a bad person and someone
Totally.
who brings more of it on herself than otherwise.
Yeah.
So I guess that lends to a very well-written character, not to mention also what you said, Kathleen. She's kind of hilarious when she's not being overly insane. So there's a lot to want to like about her, but then, gosh, yeah, you really just can't.
I think you're very right, Brian, and I think the YouTube commenter is close to right. I don't want to say, you know, I hate her and I never like her and I'm never gonna like her, but I think we're glorifying her a little bit because we love the actress, we love the character, makes us laugh, it's very entertaining. So Misty is someone tough to be completely unbiased at, right? But I will say that Shauna needs to chill because Misty is not the person you want to piss off. And and I was joking last episode about her villain arc coming. I'm not necessarily saying that, but burning the picture, it's not great for our girls.
The thing about Shauna and Misty's relationship is I think Shauna likes using her as a punching bag because Shauna is so insanely flawed herself. Let's not remember in season 1, and Misty kind of got her moment to put this in Shauna's face. Shauna murdered the guy and came running to Misty to clean it up. And then Shauna went right back to treating her like a punching bag. And Misty was like, you would have went to jail without me. Like, I completely got you out of that jam and then it's right back to the old habits. That is unfair. I think a lot of people, probably the YouTube commenter, right when she destroyed the black box in season 1, you could be like, this girl's bad news. She is a villain character. Therefore, I dislike her, period. But like, all of these girls have something where a moment where you could be like, okay, for this reason, I'm out. Like, they are a bad person, bad character, whatever. So it's shades of gray with them. And I don't know. I don't think Shauna will ever have the moral high ground to deserve to talk to Misty like that.
Agreed. Totally.
I agree as well.
Am I Team Mari though? No.
Screw you, Brian.
You can talk to Mari all she wants.
All right, let's get our final bucket, Adult, Van, and Ty. We start off hot with some news that Van's cancer has stopped metastasizing. And we know she did go to urgent care. She went. We didn't know if she went, but she did. And the blood work came back. It's good. And now, last episode, podcast episode, we talked about possibly Jimmy said that the waiter that died and chased them was the sacrifice that's going to cure Van.
Yep.
I said I thought it was Nat. Could it be both? Maybe, but I props to Jimmy because I was like, I could have swore, what did Nat die for if not Nat? You know what I mean?
Let me say something, Kathleen. I posted this on our TikTok, Bingetown TV podcast TikTok, and it's also on YouTube. It's also on Instagram. But I posted a clip of this when we talked about it, where I was theorizing that the only thing that I could make sense of with this scene was that the waiter was the sacrifice and his death allowed Van to live. And your question was valid. And I did have some people come in the comments and give some valid points as well. And these points are as follows, and I kind of believe them. Shauna was picked to die at the season 2 finale. And who died in her place? Nat. Right? Who was chosen in the 96 timeline to die? Nat. Who died? Javi. So Nat doesn't take away Van's cancer. Nat took away or canceled out Shauna's death. And this waiter is who will cure Van.
That's hot. Yes. Love it. That makes perfect sense. Good stuff.
And here we are. Okay, we're in a situation where Ty, and I do want to bring this up, Tony Cypress, and this is for better or for worse, because Yellowjackets are on point with their marketing this season. They are really giving us some great stuff on social media and everything, but maybe they're giving us a little too much. But there is an interview where Tony Cypress says, the one thing that I want you to take out of this season, and don't quote me specifically, is you're going to realize more often than you think that you're watching other Ty. Okay? So the point I'm trying to make here is that Taissa goes fully into the religiousness of this all as soon as Van is cured. She lights the match, Brian, lights that fire, lights the candle, and starts chanting what they've been chanting since season 1. Van looks skeptical, of course, but I was surprised that Ty went fully in like this.
Yeah, and my head went to, this is not our Ty that we're watching. That was too quick of a heel turn for her to just light the match. Been a long time, but Van give in to the possibility and start chanting, "We hear the wilderness and it hears us." It was just too fast. So I completely agree. And like you said, that's almost giving away too much, that we're going to be realizing it's other Ty more than we think, but that would be consistent. And even if you didn't say that, I was kind of thinking it, that's just not who our Ty is as a person. So I'm in.
And that's why I felt like it was okay to bring up, because I felt like we were going to go there anyway.
Does other Ty like speak like that? I feel like she's kind of.
That's what we don't know. Like, we know that she got. I mean, usually when we see other Ty, it's a lot of the sleepwalking stuff, but we do see her looking in the mirror, and it's other Ty, but it's not like half asleep Ty. It's her kind of looking like normal Ty, just a little menacing. There's times when she is and can act normal.
Yeah, I'm wondering if maybe she's just taken over control for a longer period of time and maybe is learning how to become more well-adjusted and keeping up kind of the ruse that she is normal Ty. It's very interesting.
It is. And now they're very happy. Again, the Ty and Van stuff is cash money. Their relationship is great. Their interactions are always great. They're sitting on the couch looking like a great couple. Yeah. Tony Cypress is doing very, very well with her acting. So good at acting like someone who is elated at the fact that her love is now going to be someone that she could spend some more time with. And then we get the commercial.
If that was a real advertisement for an ice cream place, I'm never going to that ice cream place. And it seems like it was, because Ty was like, "Oh my gosh, I remember this commercial. I must have had it in my head," and then really ran with it. So creepy the way his eyes just like pop out. But we're starting to kind of get how this whole long-haired no eyes guy was formulated in Ty's mind. And her knee-jerk reaction, I got to go there right now. I don't care that it's nighttime. I don't care that it's closed. Let's do this thing.
And it makes it even more interesting that the girls see him in their hallucination / dream, because it really is a shared supernatural or non-supernatural delusion here. Taissa may have created this person, this evil, this whatever, something that she's scared of in her own mind, but somehow it's in the minds of the other girls.
Let's not forget that the first time Ty sees it is when she's at the deathbed of her grandmother, who sees it too. She's looking at the mirror saying, "Get him away from me, he's got no eyes, blah, blah, blah." Right. Another shared delusion, or is this man just the epitome of death?
Is he death? And he shows up after the waiter dies.
So I want to bring up another YouTube comment. Char10222 said they think Ty set up something with the waiter at the restaurant, maybe on purpose. That's why she burned the matches at the altar. Also, the matches and the name of the restaurant, probably the same thing, translate to without life or without soul. And I just think that this no-eyed person is just the epitome of death coming for you. And it's crazy. The fact that the grandma saw it too takes away anything that like Ty imagined it in her brain from the start. And this commercial could be true, but I agree with you, Brian. What a crazy commercial.
Well, Van did see the commercial as well too, because Ty was like, "Are you seeing this? That's the guy." And Van was like, "Holy crap, yeah, it is."
Yeah,
and remind me, when we see him in the wilderness in season 1, is there any kind of specific situation that's happening that I can't remember? Did anybody die around that time? Is she just seeing him as she's sleepwalking? I can't remember. I know the exact scene. I could see it in my brain.
Yeah.
But the timing, going back and figuring out the timing would be very interesting. Everyone hit us up, bingetowntv.com/Discord. Let us know. But my question to you, based on this YouTube comment, is you're saying, or this YouTube person is saying, that Ty took them to the restaurant purposely to dine and dash, hoping that the waiter would chase them and then die. So that
So
his
not
death
specifically that, but there is a scene where she burns matches at an altar.
that's
right?
after she finds out he's dead. Yes.
Oh, okay. So maybe so I don't know what they're saying specifically, but yeah, that almost I don't know how she could
So
ever do that, but
hey, other Ty may be in cahoots with death. Other
yeah.
Ty may have conversations and know the wilderness. Give me a sacrifice. I'll hook you up. Just give me a sacrifice, and I'll take Van and I'll cure her.
I'll
I don't know.
happily trade.
I don't
know that
know.
waiter.
He would, yo. Did you not read the newspaper in his obituary? He was a great guy, and you're gonna say you'd rather
Sorry
have
to
Van?
this
waiter,
man.
too.
I'd rather have Van.
Yeah,
Like a
he's
Michelin
I mean,
4-star restaurant.
and
Big
we had
deal,
some
that
people
guy.
on my TikTok as well saying, why would you chase exactly what you were saying, Kathleen? I'm not chasing these people. And then somebody
No.
commented being like, well, he's a pretty damn good waiter.
I don't know, but this storyline is getting hot. It's crazy. And at the end we see this fox with this dead animal in its mouth, and they're saying, well, what do you want? And we know what it wants more, and we're just gonna just tumble down this mountain, unfortunately, back to the wilderness.
I wonder if Lottie's going to try and find her way into the Ty and Van of it all now that Shauna gave her the stanky boot.
Could be. And I will say that when they walked into this ice cream shop that was empty, the bicycle that was sitting there, the tassels did move.
Yeah.
The tassels moved. Was
Yeah,
it from the wind, Kathleen?
they
Was it from
lingered.
Supernatural? Was it from Mercury, from Mad Hatter?
It was the poison from the cave.
The poison from the cave came to the ice cream shop.
Final thoughts and or theories.
I'm going to say that this episode was great.
Yeah.
I think that we got some good theories out there, and I just want to remind everyone that this is more of an instant reaction than a breakdown.
Yeah.
Because we now have the screeners, so we won't get time to really marinate. So jump on our Discord and we'll talk about it more with you throughout the week. But yeah, I think that we all had some great thoughts. I think that this episode was back into prime form season 1. I do think it was the best episode of the season so far. Glad to see Jackie back. I'm ready for the rest of the season. I really am having high hopes for the rest of the season.
Definitely.
Same.
MVP buzzkill.
Oh shit! I
Ooh.
forgot about that.
yeah.
I totally forgot about that. Okay, Brian, you start us off then, because I have to think.
I kind of forgot about it until like 5 minutes ago. So now I gotta think. My MVP is gonna be. I'm gonna say my MVP this episode is Adult Van. Got a great prognosis. She's back in the game, no longer just a sick girl on borrowed time, I guess. And Taissa is going down a rabbit hole that is a little bit scary. It's gonna be a little bit difficult, and she's just gonna be a supportive partner. Taissa, you want to go to the ice cream parlor that's been closed for years right now at midnight? Okay, I'm down for it. Whatever, let's do it. So MVP Adult Van for standing by her girl, and the Buzz Killington of the episode. I'm going to go with Adult Shauna. Misty, in this instance, did not deserve the wrath. And like I said, Shauna is the last person that has the moral high ground to say that to Misty. So Buzzkill, Adult Shauna.
Should I go, Kathleen?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So I like those, Brian. I agree with both of your answers there. And I'm going to go with first my MVP, and that is going to be Limp Bizkit. Because I freaking
love that. I knew you would love
Nice.
that was just awesome. It was like Papa Roach to me with Jeff, just cracked me up.
Totally.
Now, Buzz Killington, I'm going to go with the same person I'm going to go with for 10 episodes in a row, and that's going to be Mari.
You bastard, honestly.
Kathleen is seething right now.
It was just cemented in my mind when she kicked the crutch. You didn't have to kick his crutch.
Fair enough.
Didn't have to do it. Buzz Killington. Kathleen, go ahead.
I'm going to do something unprecedented. I'm going to say first few scenes of Adult Lottie, MVP. Last scene with the necklace, Buzz Killington. Don't do the necklace, Lottie. We're trying to keep
Wow.
you around. We want more sleepovers. We want more animal masks. Why are you screwing up our fun here? But I still think it's going to be interesting moving forward. But yeah, first scene's Lottie. Last scene's Lottie. That's my MVP.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
And I'll say Buzz Killington for if you were in the Yellowjackets universe, not Buzz Killington for us viewers, because that is damn intriguing. This whole necklace thing with Callie. I can't wait to see more, like you said, Kathleen. All right, guys. What else? Is that it?
I'm good.
That's it. All right, cool. So Bingetown housekeeping, right? Bingetown's our umbrella. We've got other shows we're covering, huge shows right now. Severance. Our podcast is called The Core for that. Link is in the bio. We've got Solo Leveling on our Final Form podcast. We've got The Traders, which is almost coming to an end. We only have a few episodes left. That's on our Unreal podcast. And then coming up on Binge Empire, we've got The Wheel of Time. We've also covered The White Lotus, which is on this feed. And we just finished Dexter Original Sin. So if you're catching up on that, jump into that. We've got The Last of Us coming up in a few months. We are jam-packed. We are pumped. We're happy to be here. Links in the bios for all that. Join our Discord. And other than that, we are the Dark and Twisted podcast. And we hear the wilderness and it hears us.
So true.
We do.
So true.
And thank you for listening.
Buzz, buzz, buzz.